judicial systems. It's great. What better than sending a memo to the Romanians saying, deal with this guy? Now you haven't got to pretend you have law and order in your own country. If you do it in your own country, you've got to now lie and pretend and put up some garbage and blah, blah, blah. So he doesn't understand the world very well at all. I went back to America because I got released from imprisonment in Romania, and I'm American. I talked shit about America because America put me in jail, sir. America under the Dems is different than America under Trump. I returned to America when it was my home. It's not my home under the Democrats. It may be his home under the Democrats, because we all know what he's doing. Because he's a closeted homosexual. Fine. But it ain't my home under the Dems. So America changes every 4 years, whether it's your home or not, unfortunately. So for him to sit and say Andrew talked shit about America under the Dems when they locked him in jail in a foreign dungeon with a corrupt NGO-sponsored garbage matrix. And then once Trump won and democracy was restored and he returned home to the nation which his father served for, why did he do that? He's a fucking idiot. My dad served in the military. I was raised in America. I hold an American passport. I think any American with a brain sees America different under Trump than we did under the Democrats. So why is he, the fact he even said that is just mind-bending. I don't know, I guess he's just stupid. He's dumb. That's the only answer I can come to. He's dumb. I talk shit about America under Trump. They locked me up. Trump won. I got released, and I got home to America. Duh. He's a retard. That's my answer. Andrew Schultz is a retard. There's a reason I don't listen to him.
Who has portrayed you the worst?
I'm not going to say names, but I will tell you something about betrayal. I think more kings have lost their kingdoms to treacherous behavior and betrayal than they have to enemy action. I think it's the #1 threat to any man of genuine competence in the world today. And I will say that weak people will always betray you in the end, even if they don't want to. Because weak people simply do not have the capability to resist for long enough to avoid the betrayal. So when you analyze something like betrayal, you have to understand very well, nearly everyone you protect and provide for has a limit to which they would eventually betray you. It's funny, we just finished talking about women, because 99.9% of women will eventually betray you. And I'm not trying to be insulting to women. I'm not trying to be misogynistic. What I'm saying is that women cannot exist like a man exists. If you put a woman in a room and tell her she does not leave that jail cell until she gives you up, she will give you up massively. She can't take the heat, can't take the pressure, can't take the stress. She's too weak to take it. It's not bad. I'm not calling her a bad person. I'm not insulting. This is the bottom line. She's just too weak. So when you look at things like betrayal, you have to analyze who betrayed you out of genuine malice and who betrayed you out of a lack of capability. If I'm holding your hand and I'm on the edge of a cliff and you're holding my hand, and you hold as long as you can and your arm gives way and I die, is that betrayal or did you do your best? Letting go of me is betrayal. But it's actually quite interesting when I analyze the times I was betrayed. Could these people have even done any better than they did? Which then makes you analyze the meta point of who's in your life in the first place and how capable are each of these individuals in certain scenarios.
And why did you let them in?
Well, that's right. The next logical conclusion is, of course, not everybody you know can be a Spartan soldier from Planet Hero. So then what do you do with all the weak people in your life? Because I do have females in my life and some weak guys, some other people I know. Well, now you have to create your relationships and your realities with them in a way that makes it very difficult for them to betray you. I've had girlfriends for 5 years who don't know my job. They don't know my address. They don't know where my property is located. They don't know anything. They don't know. You can tie them to a chair and electrocute them all day long. They don't know anything to tell you. They know my house in Bucharest, which you can find on Google.
It's actually named on Uber, isn't it?
Yeah,
when I went there,
they know the color of my bedroom. They don't know anything about what matters. Now, I'm not doing that to be a bad person. I'm doing that to protect them from betraying me. I take responsibility for the times I was betrayed. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't blame the people who betray me. People can only do what they can do. And unfortunately, a lot of people are pretty shit at most things. A lot of people are very incompetent. Extremely incompetent. Yesterday, I beat the fuck out of 6 dudes in a row. People suck. So, if I was betrayed by somebody, I don't blame them for betrayal. I blame myself for putting them in a position where I expected more of them. If I put my knight on a square in the board and he gets trapped and dies, I blame myself, I don't blame them. These people couldn't have done anything.
Who really fucked you? Someone must have fucked you, surprised you, blindsided you.
There's been a whole bunch of times. And I have to be careful what I say because of my current legal predicaments and also certain things I don't want to share with the internet. There's been a whole bunch of times people have done it, but if I actually analyze the scenario in the story, I still have to truly blame myself. Even if I wasn't to blame, because I have the most competitive mindset if I blame myself for it, because if everything's my fault, then I have all the control, which means I'm going to alter my actions going forward. If I don't have the control, if I say, oh, this person's a traitor, and I did everything perfect, well, now I'm open to be betrayed again. If I say people can be treasonous in certain scenarios, how do I alter my relationships moving forward? I'm now harder to betray. So I don't really blame these people for doing what they do. But I will say there are certain warning signs that you can see in people that make it very easy to understand if they would betray you or not.
Like what?
If I'm with a guy and he complains he's hungry and there's no food, I say there's no food, and then he spends the next 3 hours bitching about being hungry, I get it. Like, bro, you ate this morning, this is 4 p.m. All you're talking about is food. I don't like that. That's weakness. That signals to me I don't like it. If I see dudes who are desperate to get laid all the time, desperate for women, that's an even bigger reason. Because a starving man will do anything for food. A starving man will do anything if there's a buffet ahead of him. When men are desperate for women or desperate to get laid all the time, that's the guy who tries to talk to your ex. That's the guy who tries to talk to girls. Those guys. I don't like those guys. Anyone who's desperate for anything, anyone who shows a lack of emotional regulation, anyone who shows a lack of physical control. I don't like fat people. I just don't like fat people because they have no self-control. You have no self-control and you have no discipline. That's clear. You have no motivation, no determination. That's clear. You can't stop putting things in your mouth to live longer and be a respected member of society. So I don't like you.
No. I mean, what if they're a billionaire?
Well, I'm sure there's lots of fat billionaires. That's fine. I'm not saying they can't be successful. I'm saying that if I have to create my reality, I would argue that if I had me and my 6 friends all in perfect physical condition and we had one really fat guy, I would argue the fat guy would break first. I would just argue he has less self-control. Maybe I'm wrong. Of course, exceptions exist. Exceptions don't disprove the rule, but they exist.
He might be brilliant in a lawsuit.
Of course.
He might be a legal guy.
Absolutely. But I'm just talking general because I'm general, right? I mean, everyone's guilty until proven innocent.
Except you.
Well, I'm innocent until proven guilty. But when you're creating your friendship circle, you have to, well, I do. I assume the worst about people until they prove otherwise, right? So if I meet a really obese guy and he proves to me that he's actually a serious soldier, then of course I will take it on board and learn. But my first impression is X, Y, Z. And he's given me that impression by his own decisions. So I would argue, like a man who's obese and physically unattractive, if my ex, who's a 10, were to come on to him, primarily because she wants to upset me, he's more likely to betray me because he doesn't get attention from those kind of women, as opposed to a man who gets attention from those kind of women all the time. He's less likely to damage a friendship for something which is so common, because value is derived from scarcity. Of course, these are all just assumptions. But yeah, betrayal is actually pretty easy to spot in advance if you understand the weakness and capability of the people around you. You just have to measure them up. You say, okay, how long would this person go to jail for me? I mean, most people, I'll be honest. I'm in a fortunate situation because, yes, I can be betrayed, but also I'm very valuable to the people I know. I'm very valuable. Knowing Andrew Tate on a first-name basis and being able to call his phone is an extremely valuable thing. You can make a lot of money, get a lot of status, great things happen. So people don't really want to betray me because they're going to lose it. But if you're a normal person, betraying you, they don't even lose anything. If you're a normal guy and your ex comes on to your friend, the reason your friend's going to fuck your ex is because that pussy's worth more than your friendship. If you don't have anything to offer, you don't give him anything. You don't make any money with the guy. You can't tell him anything. You can't teach him anything. You're a dipshit. He's a dipshit. You sit around talking about football. You're both dipshits. And now some pussies appear. So guess what? Because someone else will talk about football all day long and they can fuck the pussies. That's it. So if you're a normal guy, betraying you is so easy to do because there's very little consequence to it. betraying me has a consequence at least. So that's a benefit, I guess. It makes the betrayal more consequential for me, but there is a benefit. People are going to sit there and go, do I really want to lose Tate as a friend forever? But if you're the average man, you know, I get this question all the time. I just want to segue. People say to me, you know, my friend slept with my ex, what should I do? And the answer is that you deserved it, because if you're hanging around with those kind of people, you're probably a fucking loser. So you're a loser who probably would have got to him if you had the chance. Losers walk together. It's just loser life. It's loser. None of my exes can talk to my friend. Like, you can't. She couldn't. I love her to try. It's impossible. Because I'm not a loser. But losers hang with losers, and loser shit happens. So to answer the question, sorry, I've gone on a bit, but to answer the question, the people who've betrayed me, I don't think they did it out of malice. I think that they let go of me as I was hanging off the edge of the cliff, simply because our arm wasn't strong enough. And what I did, once I hit the ground and bounced up with my masterful Aikido, because I cannot die, is start looking at the size and strength of people's arms for my future friendships.
So, Andrew, have you ever had your heart broken?
I think everybody has, haven't they?
Okay, so who broke your heart the most and what happened?
You know, it's really interesting because I get this question sometimes. People say, Andrew hates women.
I didn't say that.
No, you didn't. But I understand where it's going. I don't hate women, I understand them. And I understand men, by the way.
Where this is going for me is I just want to honestly know if you've ever had your heart broken and by who and what happened.
When I was younger, I think every man who didn't stay with his first love forever will have had their heart broken.
But did your first love break your heart?
It's difficult, and I don't want to say like she broke my heart, because I'm not going to give this person that out. We broke up. I was young. I missed her, my first girlfriend. Yes, that's all true. Did she act in a way which was particularly nefarious? I don't think so. I think that's just a woman would do, and I was just a young man.
So did she like cheat on you?
No, we just broke up. I mean, but this is the thing. So we're saying I know women. Back then, we just broke up. We didn't much together anymore. I didn't understand why. Now, me knowing what I know, it's pushing talks about. Like, I know more now. But I wouldn't say that, like, she broke my heart. I can't accept that frame. That would mean that she took action to damage me. I can't take that frame.
Did you feel hurt?
I felt perplexed and confused. But now, with experience, my heart can no longer be broken because I can't be confused. I understand the world very well. So I think every single man who's ever been with anyone ever has had his heart broken at some time.
Yes.
Does that affect how I view women now? No. What affects how I view women are their own actions. Like, people will say, oh, who hurt you? You see women so bad because someone hurt you. No, I see women the way I see them, which isn't really bad. I see women in a particular light because of how they act, and I see men in a particular light because of how they act. Both sexes. This is not even a gendered argument. But I wouldn't say my heart's been broken any worse than anyone else's. In fact, I would argue that my heart's been broken less than yours. I see a whole bunch of men out here who are finding out the kids aren't theirs, or they've been married for 20 years, getting divorced, losing their life's work, or losing the house. That's heartbreaking. I ain't lost nothing. My kids are my kids. I ain't lost no money. I've never lost a house. I've never had to ask a judge to get rid of a bitch. Nothing. I'm fine. So I don't think my heart's been broken any worse than anyone else's. I think I'm just hyper-realistic about the human nature of things, and I think that I'm very good at not becoming emotionally invested or not becoming obsessed with the idea of or hoping for some kind of fantasy I do not believe exists between humans. Like, every single thing between humans is transactional. It always will be. We're in a transaction right now. You're giving me a platform. It's a transaction. And we're friends, and it's fine, but it's a transaction. For us to sit here and go, this is not transactional, we're best friends, and the transaction has nothing to do with it, would be disingenuous. And it's absolutely the same between a man and a woman. Men or women, they have this illusion or this dream of, you know, do you love me for real? Do you love me for me? That doesn't even mean anything. That's not real. I love you because you're beautiful and you do as I say, and you make me happy sometimes, and you add to my status by being hot, and we have sex, and you rub my back, and that's why I love you. Yeah, but do you love me for me? Well, what are you without those things? Well, you're a blob of goo. This is a blob of goo. You know, you love me because I'm famous and rich and important and tall and strong and smart and funny and interesting and charismatic. Would you love me if I wasn't those things? Would you love me for me? Well, what is me without all of that? What even is? What am I now? If I have no charisma, no money, no capability, no intellect? Am I a blob of goo? Like, this whole idea of love as a non-transactional thing is so flawed in the first place. So I understand everything is transactional. There's people who are going to sit there and go, he doesn't have a real woman who really loves him because my wife really loves me, and that poor guy, he doesn't understand real love. All right, bro. Talk to me after the divorce. Or they'll say, oh, women are just with him for money. My woman's not with me for money. Well, firstly, you have no money. Secondly, I've never seen a woman in a divorce court who wasn't a gold digger. Funny how they're all gold diggers in the end. Isn't it? Isn't it interesting how in the end, they're all gold diggers when the divorce court comes out? Turns out maybe it's always been about resource and protection and provision. Turns out it's always been a transactional relationship. Always. So when you're young, when we talk about heartbreak, you have these ideals of love. Like, you know, our souls connected, our spirits combined, and all this bullshit. Maybe not. Don't think I ever went that far, but people in general. But as you grow older with enough experience, you understand that everything is absolutely, completely transactional. And Dubai will teach you that faster than anywhere. I mean, or Miami. Certain cities will teach you that. That's why the red pill has died, by the way. That's why no one talks about dating anymore on podcasts, really. Because with the internet, with Instagram, with social media, with a few key changes in the last 4 or 5 years, it's highlighted the fact that rich men get women because they're rich, and pretty women want rich men because they can afford them a certain lifestyle, and it's all just absolutely transactional. And if you're a brokey, there's nothing you can do to say to a hot girl, convince her that she doesn't want to both. In the long enough time scale, she's going to want to do both. Because all her friends have to advise, and it's peer pressure, and it's social media, and she gets too many invites, and sooner or later she's going to do it. That's it. I mean, I'm not saying that a richer man can always take your girl. I'm saying that you have to afford her enough of a lifestyle to be content in that lifestyle for her to not chase a lifestyle. If you can't offer her any form of lifestyle, she's going to eventually fall prey to the vacuum of scrolling TikTok and watching all these girls less pretty than her with Birkin bags. Sooner or later, she'll be like, well, I want a fucking Birkin bag then. Why is this bitch better than me? So it goes.
Is that not a cold way to live?
Well, it is, but...
Are you cold inside?
Listen, Rob. When I go to the club in Dubai, or Miami, or anywhere else, and 20 beautiful women are trying to talk to me, if I were to think that they love me for me, I'd be an idiot. And if they were to think I love them for them, they'd be an idiot. The point is, it's actually completely fine if you're logical about it. I am perfectly fine for a gold digger to attempt to gold digger. Because she ain't gonna fool me into giving more than I want to give. And if she's hot enough, I'm prepared to give a little bit so that I can have her beauty and her company and her time. It's a transaction. I'm fine with it. Even if there's a loving feeling sometimes.
Do you want that?
No, but what I'm saying is, love can be a play. Love can be observed from above. Love can be, look, I love her, I pay all her bills and take care of her, and I fly her around on private jets. And look, she loves me, because I'm big, strong, rich, famous Andrew. And look, we're in love. Look, we hold hands. Look, we're having a kiss. Look, you can observe it from above, like you observe a play on a stage, on a theater, or observe ants having a little battle on the floor. You can observe it for what it is, but don't get caught up in it. Don't be living inside of the lie. Because it's not real. It's a transactional agreement. Your business partner. My woman is not my best friend. She's my business partner. We're in the business of children. Or in the business of showing off on purpose. I mean, where you are in the hierarchy of my women. Your business partners are your job together. And you're with me because I can provide X, Y, Z. I'm with you because you provide X, Y, Z. This whole love crap. I'm not saying I don't feel love. I'm not saying that the love is not a feeling that exists. I'm saying it's not an independent entity outside of the transaction. It's actually completely transactional. All things in my mind. Maybe am I sounding psychopathic? I don't think so. I don't think it's a cold way to look at it. I think it's just the reality of things. And when you understand that, you have a different view of perhaps all of your past relationships. So we'll talk about my first ever girlfriend. What do I think happened now? I think she fucked some other guy. What did I think happened at the time? That she fell out of love with me and just didn't want to see me anymore for no reason. And I didn't understand. Why? Because we were happy. Now, do I have a certain view of women because of that event? No. I have a certain view of women because I've learned throughout my experiences of life how women are. And also because of my status. You know, a lot of people say Andrew says bad things about women. Let me make something clear.
I mean, you say bad things about men.
Of course I do. It's not gendered, but of course they only choose the women's side.
Yeah.
But let me make something clear. If any man watching this became the most Googled man on the planet with hundreds of millions of dollars and saw the actions and natures of women, they'd talk worse than me. I promise. It's so much worse than you can imagine it to be.
Well, someone you know well said basically that, so I can. That's backed up.
Well, I mean, and also another thing. I'm a bad guy, but being a world famous bad guy, you'd be amazed how well that plays out. Like, it's actually quite incredible. And I would argue that I'm one of the most moral men on the planet. I'm the only guy I know who doesn't fuck girls who have boyfriends. They have to at least lie to me when they don't have boyfriends. Most men don't do shit. If there's a pretty girl and she has a boyfriend, they don't fucking care. That's his problem. And that's fine. That's human nature. I get it. I used to be that guy. Now when I meet a beautiful woman, where's your boyfriend? I haven't got a boyfriend yet. Who bought you that AP? My ex. Oh, yeah. Oh, when did you break up? I started quizzing them. And when they finally admit in the end, oh, well, yeah, I'm kind of seeing this guy. Because I don't want the bad karma. Because I don't care enough about women to even steal them off. I don't care enough about women to even want them off another guy. I'm so over chicks. I don't give a shit. You know, I have my wives and I've retired. I've got my 5 or 6 and I can't be wrong. Most men in my position wouldn't do that. Most men in my position would just steal everyone's girl at random. Which I could do, but I don't. So, anyone who's saying, oh, Andrew says bad things about women, they're still living in this idealistic view where they believe women are not transactional and that love is love and that Disney princesses and that blah, blah, blah. If they were ever in my position for a day, they'd be talking worse about women than I ever have in my life, ever. Because you'd be amazed how cold and ruthless those princesses you're in love with are. You'd be amazed how cold and ruthless they are. And any man who's been around it knows that. Every man who's been around enough women has the stories of her answering the phone to her boyfriend in the bathroom afterwards or whatever. It's a cold, dark place. But that doesn't mean love isn't real. I'm saying you just have to approach love for what it is. You know, it's interesting. We're talking about Lily Phillips. People always ask, Andrew, what would you say to Lily Phillips? I see all these people trying to preach to Lily Phillips. I don't know why.
She's the thousand.
Yeah. She gets railed left and right.
Yeah.
She's a whore. She knows she's a whore. She admits she's a whore. And that's fine. Like, I see Russell Brand, a few other people like, on the podcast where they're saying, God thinks more of you. God expects more of you. No, he doesn't. God made her a whore. And there's always been whores. It's the oldest profession in the world. There's always been sluts. I mean, and men want sluts. Like, we all want a wife we can trust, and we want sluts. We want both. If we get a boat, we want it full of sluts. Here's my thought, bring women. And if someone goes, I can bring a bunch of women, they're all blonde, they're all gorgeous, they all have big tits, but they're a bit slutty. Oh no, don't bring those. Don't bring that one. Of course, they say bring them. So there's no problem with sluts and wives. There's different quality of women out there. The only problem is when a man gets confused between the two. If you're a man and your head is on straight, and you can tell which wife to take seriously, which women are good women, and which women are pieces of shit, and you keep everything in its correct place, you have your hoes for hoes and your wife for wife, and you keep everything in its correct order, then life's fine. The only men who get mad at sluts, oh, these sluts are so bad, are the men who fell in love with one thinking she was a wife and she wasn't. Lily is fulfilling a very important job in society which has existed since the dawn of human time. She's a prostitute. There's always been prostitutes. There are always going to need to be prostitutes. God's plan for Lily was what she's doing. So I don't know why anyone asked me what I'd say to her besides good work.
Keep going.
Keep guzzling cum. That's your fucking destiny. I don't give a shit. And I ain't gonna fall in love with you. I'm not a dumbass. But there's men out here on podcasts that are like, you're so beautiful, you could do so much more. I'm like, bro, you sound like you're about to fucking marry the bitch. Who cares? Who gives a fuck, Larry? So everything's actually fine with love, with hoes, with wives, with everything's fine if you're very realistic and understand stuff in its correct order. I know some women who ain't all that, but they're good on a boat. And I know some women with pure hearts, so I've never put on a boat. I just keep everything in its correct place, and I do the right thing, and I keep everything in order, and I observe everything for what it is, and I understand it's all a transaction. And I manage the transaction so I don't get famoosed, art of the deal, and I win. If that's not love, tell me what is. That's love to me. That sounds like love to me. I don't know. But there's some other guy who's going to sit around and say, no, love is my, I love this, I love that. He's sitting around in sex and marriage and told to do by some woman. It's not me, I can't do that.
So, you clearly love your mum, but do you respect her?
I absolutely do. And I absolutely respect her. But I think you respect a mother and a father differently. And I think you respect a woman and a man differently. I am just going to make this clear. I am not buying into the largest psyop in history that men and women are the same and that we're interchangeable and that we should all be treated the same way. It is a lie. They call me misogynist because I don't buy into that psyop. Do you know who else doesn't buy into that psyop? Women. Ask the average woman to pay for a date. She doesn't want to be treated like a man or an equal. She'll be like, why did you invite me here then? And she will leave. So, by logical extension, if we accept that we play different roles in society, and we do different things and have different expectations and we're not completely interchangeable, then we must accept that you show respect to each gender in different ways. I show respect to my brother by believing in his decisions and his masculine capability to do certain things. I show respect to a woman by trying to protect her. I show respect to a woman by limiting her in some ways. You don't really do that with men. If a man says, I want to do this, and you respect it, you say, okay, I believe in you, I'll help you. With a woman, she'll say, I want to do this or do that. You say, okay, well, that's dangerous. So we have to be careful. I have to protect you from that. That's dangerous. I don't think you should be doing it. So you show respect to a woman and a man differently. I respect my mother, yes. The house was clean. I got 3 meals a day. I had a place to sleep. She raised us on a council estate on £300 a month. She wasn't out drinking. She wasn't smoking. She wasn't doing drugs. She was a fantastic mother. She kept me alive. But she didn't teach me about life the way my father did. Because she couldn't. Because my dad knew things and had a capability she didn't have. Her capability, her job was to keep me alive and feed me food. And my dad's was to teach me about all of the delicate intricacies of the universe. It doesn't mean I respect one more than the other. It means they did different things. I'd be disingenuous to sit here and say, my mom taught me just as much as my dad. That's the kind of dipshit garbage that losers say nowadays because they feel entitled, they feel obligated to say it. Because they sit on a podcast and they think, if I don't big women up, I'll get called a misogynist and the women will pick on me. Because most dudes are scared of fucking chicks. I'm not going to sit here and lie and pretend my women teach me anything compared to my brother. I'm not going to sit here and lie and pretend my mother taught me anything compared to my dad. No. But she was a great mom. She did a great job. But her job was different. Her job wasn't to educate me. Her job was to sustain me so that I could be educated. So yeah, I absolutely respect her, but I'm not going to sit here and say all the important life lessons my mom taught me. I know more than my mom when I was 10. But she cooked and cleaned and the house was done. As it should be. It's really amazing, like this stranglehold, this pathetic quest for imaginary equality has on Western civilization. The average person on a podcast will sit there and go, my mom taught me just as much as my dad. Anything to avoid the smoke of the misogyny. It's fucking stupid. It's stupid. We have different roles. We do different things. And my mother did a fantastic job, and I respect her for it.
Where exactly were you when you found out your dad died?
I was in a hotel room in Russia. It was about 7 p.m. I was sitting on the bed, and I was due to commentate on a MMA show at 9 o'clock. We had to go down to the lobby at 8, go across the arena at 7 p.m. My phone rang, and she picked it up. My mom, she said, Dad, died. This one's over your head. So your dad's dead? I said, yeah. Sat there quiet for 10 to 15 minutes. I said, that's good. Well, let's get ready and let's go do this show. So I was commentating contract. He was here from England. At the time, I wasn't living in Romania. And we went and we did the show and commentated on the entire show. After the show, we went back to the room. And then the girl I was with, she was like, "Oh, is there anything I can do? Anything I can help?" I was very irritable. She kept asking me if I'm okay. It was pissing me off. I was like, "Can you just sleep somewhere else? You can't resurrect my father. And you just keep asking me questions. It's pissing me off." She left the room. And the next day I woke up and my inbox on Facebook was flooded with stories. My dad, but that was actually very nice to read all these stories of people I'd never heard of. People were like, "Hi, you don't know who I am." But I was in the military with my father. I met your father in the military. He told me an amazing story. My father. My dad held the Air Force record for the fastest learned Russian in 2 weeks. The guy said this, he's saying, "Nobody is going to understand how smart he is." But I just want to tell you a story. When I joined the military, I was already fluent in Russian, and I lived with my Russian wife who spoke Russian. And within 2 weeks, your father was directing me. It's incredible. And Emery tape, they called me ET like an alien. They told me all these stories. Some kids in Africa contacted me. Kid in Africa contacted me, said, "I can't get hold of your dad. You don't understand me. Because your dad was paying for my lessons in chess. Your dad was sending money. I don't know my dad was sending money. So this was kind of sobering. It was quite refreshing for me to read all these nice stories about him and to know that it was so made an impact on so many people's lives. And the fact that he died while playing chess gave me huge solace. I was happy that he died at a chessboard. That's how he should have died. A warrior's death. That's the best death I could have ever hoped for him.
Was it a heart attack? Was it a
heart attack? I don't remember.
He was literally playing chess. Wow.
Best way to go for a professional chess player. So, absolutely. So, I'm happy he died a hero's death. I'm happy he made such an impact on so many people's lives. And for me to pretend that hasn't affected my psyche would be disingenuous. Of course I have.
How?
Because now I want to affect as many people's lives as possible and die a hero's death.
What is your hero's death?
That's a good question. I'm not entirely sure. But I would hate to die peacefully in my sleep overnight. I can do better than that. You know? I mean, I want a few more years of consciousness, of course. But if you were to tell me this story ends with me pissing off the government so much that eventually I could drive by shots, I wouldn't be disappointed. But that's pretty good. I pissed them off, I said them, and I broke the Matrix, I told the truth, and they had to assassinate me. I'll take it. I don't want to happen now. My father was 57, he's still quite young. But that's still 20 more years. I'm 38. Like in 20 years from now, I'll be kind of tired. I'm already bored of women, Rob. I'm bored of the cars. I'm bored of the money. I'm bored of the diamond watches. Like everything I'm already ready.
I'm glad you're over the diamonds thing.
I'm ready for it. So you want to die young? Young. My point is, dying before death is far better than people's consciousness of dying peacefully. Like other bullshit. A hero's death is the best thing man could ever hope for. In fact, men used to go out looking for hero's death. So my father died a hero's death, and he left a massive impact on people's lives. For me to sit now and pretend that I'm not trying to leave a massive impact on people's lives, understanding that people kill, I understand if I continue that perspective, I'm completely that the end result is going to be off. But isn't it a son's job to follow his father's footsteps? Isn't that what you're supposed to do? I mean, so I don't fear his death, and I want to make as much of an impact on people's lives as I possibly can. I only became local and just what you That's when I became a change from student to teacher. That's when I stopped asking questions, stopped saying.
When was the first time you cried?
Tears ran down my face. That's it. It was the night after the the interesting thing to me? I don't know if sad is the right word. It was kind of like anxious. Imagine every police officer on the planet. Your first answer is like, well, what happens now? So what happened? What's next? You're like a bit nervous, on edge, scared, worried. That's how it felt. I didn't feel sad. I wouldn't think I was sitting there like, oh, Dad's dead. I'm so sad. Because I understood mortality well enough. It was more just like, okay, well, Dad's gone. So now what? Like, T, what do we do? Dad's gone. Like, we're the bosses now. Like, we don't get told what to do anymore. Like, Dad's gone. This is weird. That's how it felt. There was, of course, a lot of sadness involved in it, but there was this strange anxiousness. Very weird. The weirdest thing, actually, I'm not sure I've ever said this on the podcast before, the weirdest thing about this is that the day before he died, I had messaged him. I was in a nightclub in Brasov, Romania, and we used to talk on Facebook. And I messaged him randomly. We used to talk every 3 or 4 days. I messaged him saying, my chi feels off. Are you here? It's the last message I sent him. And he never read it. And then he died.
I'm getting a real sense when you talk about your dad, not pain. I feel like gratitude the way you talk about it.
I had the best father on the planet. I had the best